Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree, and today I'm doing my top 25 Nintendo 64 games of all time. Now, if you came to this channel by way of you're remembering the N64 wrong, you know that I had a lot of issues with the N64. But what I didn't really make clear in that video is I still love the N64. I had one and I thought it was really dope. I also had a PlayStation at the time, got them both on the same day, my 18th birthday, and I spent more time playing PlayStation than N64, but the N64 still defined my youth, and I still had a lot of fun with it. I had more fun with the single player games than I did the multiplayer games, but unfortunately, there just weren't a lot of quality single player games. So this list does have some multiplayer games on them, some of which I would only play very occasionally with friends or my sisters. Usually I had to play by myself, which sucked. Or I didn't play at all, I just played the single player games. So number 25, Rampage World Tour. I love the arcade game Rampage. I had the rubbish NES port as a kid and was very disappointed with that piece of shit. So very hesitant to play Rampage World Tour. But once I did rent it and play it, I was sold. So great fucking game. Basically, you're a giant monster, a kaiju, and you're destroying cities. That's what it is. You're either a Godzilla stand-in, a King Kong stand-in, or there's like a third one, but I don't remember what it is. Anyways, pretty good game. Number 24, Mortal Kombat 4. This is when Mortal Kombat went 3D. Now, I had this same game also on PlayStation. The PlayStation version sucks balls. So I played it a lot. I beat this game on every difficulty with every character, unlocking every bonus piece of content and all the FMVs and cinematics and storylines and everything. I played the shit out of this game. I would play Mortal Kombat 4 for literally like 2 or 3 hours solid at a time. Number 23, Gauntlet Legends. Now, I believe I also had this game on PlayStation because I'm pretty sure it was on both. I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me, but because I vaguely remember having it on PlayStation, but it could be a false memory. Nonetheless, I did have it on N64, and I love the shit out of it. It's a 3D maze runner game. Like, you're going through a maze, but you're fantasy characters, Lord of the Rings-esque characters. You have a wizard stand-in. You have a archer stand-in, etc. And you're just running through the maze, killing monsters, collecting treasure, and opening doors. Pretty fun game. Number 22, Duke Nukem 64. I did not play this game a lot, partially because I had better games to play, but I would pick it up from time to time, and it was fun. It wasn't like as fun as playing the DOS version, which I loved, but I played it from time to time. Number 21 was Doom 64, which I would argue is the definitive adaptation of Doom. Doom 64 is what people falsely remember the original OG Doom being, but this is the Doom people wanted when Doom came out. This is what we pictured in our minds while we were playing Doom, even though it wasn't the real thing. This is the best version of OG Doom. Number 20 is Asteroids or Asteroids 64. This is a 3D-esque CGI modern computer graphics reimagining of the classic arcade game Asteroids. It's pretty fun. I also had it on PlayStation. It made my PlayStation list as well. Pretty fun game. I love it. Number 19, Yoshi's Story. This is the immediate sequel to Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Story is one of 3 or 4 2D esque side scrolling platformers on the N64. What I liked about this game was it was a 2D side-scrolling platformer rather than the obnoxious 3D platformers we got too goddamn many of on the N64, most of which I was not a fan of because most of them were not fun at all. However, Yoshi's Story was actually pretty fun. 18 and then 17 and 16. Cruising Exotica, Cruising World, Cruising USA in that order. Damn good racing games. One or two of them were actual arcade games ported to the system. I believe the third one was an exclusive N64 title, but don't quote me on this. But they played like arcade racing games because that's where they had their origins. Number 15 is Perfect Dark. This is by far the best first-person shooter on the console. The other one that you're thinking of is not on this list, so don't expect it. I hate that game. I've already talked about how much I hate that game. I'll just tell you right now, it's not on this list. Don't hold your breath for it. Perfect Dark was a fucking good, an actual good first-person shooter on the system. Not only the best on the system, probably the only, like, legit good one. But I digress. Number 14 is Jet Force Gemini. Jet Force Gemini is a 3D third-person shooter, kind of sort of top-down almost. It's a fun game. It's a little bit, to me, more fun than Perfect Dark because it's got more sci-fi elements. I love it. 13 and 12 are Mario Party 3 and Mario Party 2. Those games were hella fun if you had friends. Fuck off if you were playing by yourself. The computer cheats. Number 11 is Star Fox 64. The one of two Star Fox games out of all the Star Fox games I actually like. Star Fox 64 is, again, what Nintendo intended Star Fox to be, but couldn't do due to the technology at the time. So they just remade it and actually made it good. Like, legit good. That's what Star Fox 64 is. It's a 3D space shooter, and it's fucking awesome. Not the best 3D space shooter on the console, though. There's another one coming. Number 10, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. This is a 3D, I would say, action-adventure game, but it's a sci-fi game as well. It's a Star Wars. So it's got some space levels. It's got some shooter levels, but I think it's third person, not first person. It's got some, like, kind of stealth levels and stuff like that. Just a fucking awesome game. Number 9 is a game that should not have even been released on the N64. It was a massive mega hit on the PlayStation. And when it came to the N64, we expected it to be an inferior port due to the cartridge coming from CD-ROM. But it's actually a damn good game. Not as good as the GameCube version, which I had, which is more or less the same game, but it plays better on the GameCube because the GameCube has a better controller than the piece of shit tripod on the N64. But it is what it is. You already can tell what the game is. It's Resident Evil 2. The only good survival horror game on the N64. Fuck off with your Nightmare Creatures and I don't even know how to say it, Daikatana or whatever it is. Those games can eat shit. Number 8, Super Smash Bros. This only makes the list because it is a 2D side-scrolling game and it's got a lot of nostalgia references. So it's like, it's a nostalgia trip. That's all it is. Number 7, the original Mario Party by Hudson Soft, and the best Mario Party, second only to Mario Party 4 on the GameCube, but the best one on the N64. And another one you do not dare play solo by yourself against the computer. Don't even try it. But it's fun if you have friends. Number 6, you can play by yourself. It's a step above in some ways than the Super Nintendo original, but not as good in other ways. So it's a mixed bag. It's probably, I would say, well, top 5 Mario Karts. It's Mario Kart 64. I would put it in the top 5 Mario Karts. but it's probably like number 4 or 5. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But I love Mario Kart 64. Again, better with friends, but actually playable single player, which I really appreciate. Number 5 is the other space game I promised was coming. This is Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Definitely top 5 Star Wars game of all time. Probably number like 2 or 3, not number 1. But it's in the top 5 Star Wars games of all time for sure. Rogue Squadron is basically what it sounds like. You're flying an X-Wing or other spaceships from the Star Wars universe, and you're blowing shit up. That's all it is, but it's fucking awesome. Not as good as the vastly superior GameCube remake, Rogue Squadron 2, but damn fine for the time. And a good substitute if you don't own a GameCube. Because N64 games and systems are a lot easier to get and cheaper than GameCubes, because the GameCube bombed ass and didn't sell worth a shit, so they're fucking rare and hard to find and expensive as hell. And the N64 did considerably better, so it's not as hard to find. Also, it's a little bit more primitive. The GameCube's a little closer to modern consoles, where the N64 is like, it has more in common with the retro consoles, but not quite. Anyways, number 4, you knew this was going to be in the top 5 because I love this franchise. I talk about it all the goddamn time. It's Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Not as good as the PlayStation version, but considering what we had to play on the N64, it's high on the list because, hey, it's at least a quality 2D arcade fighting game on the system, which sucks in a way because it's the only 2D fighting game on the system, which really fucking sucks. The other fighting games, I'm not even going to talk about. They all blow chunks. All of them, they blow chunks. Not worth my time, not worth your time. They can just fuck off. If you were a fan of fighting games like I was, you had a PlayStation because that's where they were at. Which, hey, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a fan of fighting games. Nintendo does not have fighting games. They get like 3 or 4 fighting games per generation. You get like 60 plus fighting games on PlayStation. I'm just saying, if you're a fan of a certain type of game, Nintendo is not your go-to. That's all I'm saying. I love Nintendo. I do. I love their first-party games. Their hardware, quirky as hell. Sometimes cool. Sometimes sucks. But anyways, number 3, by far the best in the franchise. Absolutely. This would be number 1 in a top 5 list of this franchise. One of the best role-playing games on the console. One of 3 role-playing games on the console. The other 2 are rubbish. Leave them alone. You can probably tell by now. It's Paper Mario. Fucking awesome. This is Super Mario World ported to the N64, but with like elements borrowed from the cartoon, as in comedy and other stuff. Great fucking game. Damn good follow-up to Super Mario RPG. Not as good as Super Mario RPG, but a damn worthy successor. Number 2 is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This was Zelda in 3D for the first time, and it fucking blew my mind. I could not get enough of this game. I am not good at this game. I, am fucking terrified of that goddamn giant spider. So when I get to the giant spider, I either asked a friend to beat it for me or was like having a panic attack the entire time. But I got through it. I remember getting as far as like where you have to talk to the rock people for whatever reason, and I never got past that. I don't remember how far in the game that was. That's as far as I ever got. But I loved that game. I would love to go back and revisit it someday, but I don't know. We'll see. I've done a whole video on this, on the number 1. I've done other videos on number 1. Number 1 is number 1 for a reason. It's the game you bought in N64 to play. It's the game you bought the ROM of when N64 ROMs came to Nintendo Virtual Console, eShop, and then online service. This is the game. This is the game that defines the Nintendo 64. This is the game of all games. One of the top probably top 10, top 5 greatest video games of all time. It is Super Mario 64, and it is God's gift to humanity. I think God himself, or whichever God you believe in, came to Shigeru Miyamoto and gifted him this game. Like, here's how you make a game. Because this is a damn good game. Nothing has ever topped it. There has never been a 3D platformer on the level of Super Mario 64. There never will be. Nothing is going to come close. Odyssey is in the ballpark, but it's like outside in the tailgate party. It's not inside with this game. It's just in the parking lot. All the rest of the games are on another continent, you know, like in the fucking desert, fucking sucking balls because they got nothing else to do because they're no good. That's how much I love this game. This is the 3D platformer. All other 3D platformers, by and large, for the most part, are not worth your time. There's a handful that are okay, quality, but not good enough to make this list, and not that good on their own. You'll notice there's not really any rare games on this list. That's because I was not a fan of the rare games. The one you were thinking of when I told you Perfect Dark was on this list, I'm not even going to say its name, but you know what it is. You're going to mention it in the comments and call me a dipshit for not putting it on this list. I hate that game. That game sucks. People who like it never played a real proper first-person shooter ever in their lives. Ever in their lives. That's the only reason I can come up with why people liked that game. The movie it's based on fucking sucks. The controls fucking suck. The story fucking sucks. The 4-player split screen fucking sucks. There's nothing good about that game at all. Now, Rogue Agent, the sequel on the GameCube, damn good game. Quality first-person shooter. But the N64, the insufferable N64 version, can eat a dick.